And I'm live. That is pretty cool. Today is 27th of February 2026, Friday. And before beginning, like always, let's read a quote from Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Let me find a short random quote. So, this one is: the nature of that which is universally useful has been compelled to do this. The nature of that which is universally useful has been compelled to do this. So, I think the things which are useful or found to be useful by people, those things were compelled to be useful by people. Okay. So you can interpret it as if you want to be useful to other people, you have to compel yourself either from your internal discipline or external pressure from the society. So that is pretty good. Good. And now, yep, for today, we can finally start working on the front end. But before that, we have to establish a protocol for communication between the front end and the back end. And what do I mean by that? Let me show you, like, just some updates here. In this, when a message comes, we interpret that message using, wait, Zord, validation, safe parse, this thing. And the structure of the message is just a simple string. S- Right. So, yep, there is no object. It is a simple string which is sent by the front end and nothing more complex. But we need something more complex because we want different types of messages to be sent by the front end to the back end and during a socket communication. And what would those things be like? And yes, shit, I want to keep a log or something of this whole thing. Yes, I want to keep a log of MD of all the decisions that I am making. And for that, I would need a better structure than date because I would want this log file to be kind of like a summary or an explanation to everything or every decision that has been made. So, yep, I could go forward with this date format. I think this date format is fine. This date format is fine because this looks cool. Yep. So I set up socket protocol and everything that has to do with this will come under this heading. That sounds okay. Protocol. Okay. Right now, the front end needs to send more data to the back end other than simply the moves. And what would those different things be? Shit, that is a line. That is crazy. How do I give sub point? Hello. Uh, and I don't know if you can hear this, but wait, let me. If you cannot hear this, there is construction going on in the neighbor's house, and it is very very loud. Okay, so in Markdown, how to give sub sub points sub points. So the point just mean nested item list. Yes, nested item list. Okay, shit. With some is margin. Okay, that's cool. We can do that. Space. Sure, yes, that like makes sense. One or one dot. Yep, one dot. Uh, First is move. Second is other than move is pawn promotion. Pawn promotion. If yes, if pawn is promoting, and design and draw offers. I don't think there is anything else we need to send from the front end to the back end. The back end will be sending quite a few things, but I think from the front end, these are the only things we need to send. Move, pawn promotion, resign and draw offers. Move, pawn promotion, and resign and draw offers. Is there something else? Yeah, if there is, we will just refactor the whole thing. Cool. Move, pawn promotion, resign and draw offers. Messages, 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 messages. Shit, messages. Do we want to add messages? Message communication. Let's do this like right now. I thought maybe we would do it later on, but okay. Message. Cool. This is cool. Message and anything else? No, that seems good enough. Move, pawn promotion, resign, and draw offers, and the message. If there is a message is going to be optional. Message is going to be optional. Pawn promotion is going to be optional. The resign, draw offer is going to be optional, but move is always going to be there. Makes sense. And we also need something is message, which is going to be non-optional. Bool message is going to be like string pawn draw offers. We will have an enum for this. Pawn promotion also enum, and move would be string, and that string would be e2 e4, something like this. Example is this. Cool, that looks good. So we need to add four new things instead of having a simple string, which makes sense. Yep, cool. So we have to update this thing, and yes, we just have to update this thing to include all those things. The dot object, and this object will have move whose type is this thing. We have a move. We need pawn promotion, and Guten Morgen. Okay. We have our move here, and we need pawn promotion. Promotion course sync no. Promotion, for promotion, we need to have an enum. And where is this specific code folder? This is in games.ts. We will have an enum for promotion. Export enum promotion. I think is I think it is a like culture, or what is it called? Protocol, uh, convention. Is it convention in JS to in TS to start enum name with capital? Is it a convention to start enum name with a capital? Yes, it is. Okay, then shit, that would mean we have to change quite a few things, but we won't. Okay. What would be the things? Queen, rook, bishop, but or no, we already have an enum for pure pieces. So how do we say that a Zord value can have only some specific values? Allow. I'm using Zod for validation. How do I say that Zod can have only some specific values for a variable?
So in Zod, you can use the zenum method to restrict a value to a set of predefined options. Basically, you give it an array of allowed strings or numbers if you prefer, and it ensures the input is one of those. For example, if you only want colors like red, green, or blue, you'd do something like color.
Okay, so Z dot enum, and this enum will have pure pieces dot queen is one thing. Cannot find pure pieces. Okay, now pure pieces is there. No load matches this call. Shit. So this can only have string values and nothing else. I already have TypeScript enum. How do I use that here with Zod? And from that TypeScript enum, I only want Zod to use some values and not all of the values from that enum.
Ah, got it. You can definitely tie a TypeScript enum into Zod, but you have to be selective. Essentially, you extract just the values you want from the enum and feed them into zenum. Here's how you do it. So suppose you have a TypeScript enum like this. Enum status, pending is pending, approved is approved, rejected is archived. Now, if you only want Zod to validate against a subset, say only pending and approved, you can do something like this. The allowed statuses are crucial. Constant status schema is zenum. In this way, Zod is only going to accept those values from your original enum. And
Okay, that is cool, but I think we are getting problem here because in the values of these things are strings, and here the value of these things are numbers. Read-only value string. Read-only value is string. So either we write another different enum, but that is not very cool because we want to share. Yep. Nope, 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 nope. Nope. We would like the possible values here to be a subset of enums. How do we say that? That we want this, and the error here says that this thing can only be shit, this thing can only be a list of strings. So if I think we were to do pure pieces, this would work because this would give the string q, capital Q, but we do not want this. I think we have to change our enums. Right now, our enums, the values that these enums are equal to are numbers. Would it be cool to change those number values to strings? Let's see. Right now, I am using enums at quite a few places in my project, and those enums are by default having number values. What I want is to change them to string values, and those string values would be equal to the variable which is a member of that enum. So is it okay? My only concern with that is it might reduce speed because we would be comparing strings instead of comparing numbers.
that's a really good catch, and it's a trade-off. By default, TypeScript enums are number-based for efficiency, but making them strings is often more readable and safer, especially if you're dealing with external data like APIs or you need better debugging. The performance hit is usually negligible unless you're doing literally millions of comparisons every second, and even then, the clarity often outweighs that cost. If you do decide to switch, you can just explicitly assign string values to your enum members.
Okay, that is pretty cool. That does make sense. Checkmate, and this would be equal to Stalemate. What is the problem? Enum must have an initializer. 3 4 repetition. Okay. Sufficient material. Okay. Time over. Okay. Other resigned. Okay. Other abandoned. Okay. And not over. Cool. These were the enums here, and where are there other enums? Here we have other enums. Now black would become, this is probably going to break quite a few things. And yes, shit, I want to do the same thing here with all of these. White knight equals white knight, yes. Uh, white bishop, and can I make the AI do this thing? White pawn, black, and nn equals nn. Cool. WR, WN, WB, white, rook, bishop, rook, knight, bishop, queen, king, pawn. And yes, those are the only pieces there. Rapid blitz equals blitz, and bullet equals bullet. There is some problem with this because of the comma, and cool. Pure pieces are equal. Rook, knight, bishop, king, queen, pawn, and no piece at all. Cool. Okay. Special move next. Yes. Special moves, flats. Yes, these we don't have to change. These const is small. Yes, this we do need, and this will become equal to a rook, a rook, white h rook, and black a rook, and this would be equal to black h rook. And cool, cool. And we do not have any other enums. Let's see, where do we have some enums? I want to find all the enums that we have anywhere. Defining enum, wherever we are defining enum. Color enum, that is fine. Yes, current color, move number. The places where we are defining enums. Enums. This is num enum space. Wait, is enum space is much better. Yes, enum space is much better. Search term. Okay, enum. Yep, did that, did that, did that, did that. Okay, all of that has been taken care of. Now, there might be things which are broken. How to find places where places in the code base with errors, or like I did ask ChatGPT at some point the same thing. I am using TSLS. How do I, and I made some change in a helper function. How do I find all the places which might which have error now. How do do that with TSLS? TSMA. Let the TypeScript pilot which everything. The most honest answer is this. This enforces TypeScript to check the entire project to report all errors without a JS generation. If you are using a project, okay, in NewM, since you use it, okay, it knows that I use this. Lua, telescope, diagnostics. Di diagnostics. Okay, this thing seems to be broken. This. What is this? This is broken. Why? Of type move. Okay, yes, it is broken because of move. Cool, cool. All of that is broken because of move. All of that is broken because of move. Move is now a bit more complicated than move. String promotion queue is not assignable to type is string. Wait, it is status git add current commit m uh change refactor enums now have string values. Push origin. Cool. Now enums are different. Enums are different. Okay. Tests game.tx. Nope. We have to interfaces game.ts here. Update this move. Okay. Move. Now I think we can just use this like this. Cool. Cool. Pure pieces. Queen. Knight is another option. Pure pieces. Rook is another, and pure pieces of bishop is another. These are the things that a pawn can go to. Pawn promotion, resignation, and this is optional. Wait, shit, optional. This is optional, and promotion offers. Let's say, and z dot enum resign or draw. Resign or draw. Let's have another enum here. Export enums offers would be resign or draw. Export. Wait, there's some problem. Export enum, not enums. Resign and draw. Cool. And here I think we can just say offers dot resign and offers dot draw. Okay, and this is optional. Optional. Yep. Offers are optional, and then message message is not optional. Boolean, and this is not optional. This must be there, and message is z dot string, which is optional. And how do we set the length? Because you cannot just pass in an infinite length message. Maximum length of message can be 100 characters. Let's say, yeah. Cool. Cool. Move is dark and this. Cool. move socket request. This is what is sent by the above 10. I think we have established our protocol here. Cool. Now we have to fix this. Update game object and everything here. Message. We get save bars. We get the response from the data, right? And where are things breaking apart? Move here at this part. And yes, we will add these functionalities later on. Right now, we are just establishing our protocol. We will add functionalities later for pawn promotion and offers and messages. We will add that later. So after the data has been validated, we can say, and now I think we are good. Yep, everything looks good. Let's test if this is working. One back, start the backend. Backend is working. One run test and makes sense. Y of over is undefined. You aren't even playing, bro. Okay, user Kakashi wants to play a game. That user wants to play a game and they were not paired up with each other. Okay, we also have to change the format of the test game here. The thing that we are sending uh, dot send here. This has to change to as is string. Move is going to have this value and we will say json dot stringify this thing. Gintoki dot send this thing. Okay. Copy, right, and paste, copy, and where is the next send? Maybe I this shit. Copy, next send, paste. Okay, cool, cool, cool. And everything else is optional except one more thing. We're going to add a change here. Not a start, but but we have to make some changes. We also have to export that Zord object as an interface from here. So interface for export and move socket request as an interface or as a type. We will here and we will say this object as not as object const request is an object which is move like this whole line, paste this, and yep, the type of this object is move request socket move socket request property is missing is message equal false. Cool. And then json dot stringify is the request. Request request and a request. And here uh, request goes here and request goes here and request goes here. That should be good enough, I think. Hello, good morning. I am the first today. Let's go. Like, yes. Bro, without music, I cannot be able to do this because it forces me to speak more often, and that's straining a lot. With you and counter, do you think I should get speech training? Wait, without music, I cannot be able to do speak because it forces me to speak more often, and that is training a lot. Right? Without music, you cannot speak. Training. Why do you need speech training? Like just start speaking, and I do not understand the problem. You cannot speak without music. Music forces you to speak, and speaking puts you under a strain. I guess just speak. That should be, I think, and run test. Okay, shit, nothing. Nothing. They want to play a game. Okay, I hope I didn't break anything wrong. Why are these two not able to start a game amongst themselves? Shit, I think I broke them. Shit, I think I broke something. Uh, User wants to play a game. Yes, cool. If another user exists on the same line. Uh, 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 quest- I I couldn't have broken anything here. Starting a game. Okay. Why is starting a game not starting? Why don't we start the game? What broke? Test game and yes, color, time, color, everything is cool. Color, time, like legit, everything is cool. Why are we not able to start a game? If opponent response, get opponent console.log. If this player wants to play a game and console.log, opponent found back, run the test. Okay, we are not able to find an op somehow. That is not very good. Okay, like during stream on YouTube, I like play music BG. Okay, and just do stuff. And want to speak. That can be our style of doing stuff. People do that, and you can do that. That could be your style. But also you have to take care of copyright because you cannot just play any music like interstellar music in the background. And shit, something broke. How could something even break here? I didn't even change this. I only changed enums. And enums about moves. Get open takes time. Color and increment and shit. Do not tell me hi equals hi. That is true. So what is the problem? A equals, let A equals, okay. Let B equals hello. A equals B, false. B equals hi, and A equals B, true. Cool. So what is the problem? Get opponent gets the opponent of the right color. Oh, get an opponent color. Get opponent. This function returns either this or that. Get opponent color, and try to get someone with this color, this time, and this increment. Dot log, print the opponent here. Okay, one run back, something probe, one run test. Nothing. We don't see anything. Why is the game not starting? That is very disheartening, to say the least. Yep. Shit. Get opponent. Okay, what does this mean? Error executing Vim schedule this attention track back Vim win buffer on a response handle. What is this? Found a swap file by the name in this. Okay, owned by me. File this get opponent.ts modified. Yes, your name. Save this one. This is the latest version because it has this. When a new request comes, we find all the possible colors with which this current player could play a game with. Shit. Shit. Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes so much sense. Makes so much sense. Nothing broke on the front end. Nothing broke on the back end. I broke the front end. The like test. I have to change the text. One run back end. Everything is fine on the back end. Everything is legit fine on the back end. We just have to change this to be let's say random, and I think this has to be capital R or something, or we could just say like colors dot random color for this person. Increment is 0. Yes, color was the thing that was problematic. Colors dot random. And how were we able to have a connection with the wrong thing? Yes, with the wrong headers. The headers were wrong. Plugins, auth, error, game, API, plugin. Yep. Save parse headers as color type. Color enums. Yes, okay. Version of type number to color. Colors as color type. Color type is enum and colors is game. Yes. Zord. We have to change Zord. Shit. We have to change Zord here. Yes. Words number. Time is number. Color is not number. Color is enum. Yes, color is a enum, a list of enums. Color enum dot black, white, or random. Now, safeguard looks cool. Okay, yes, we don't have to do this because, yes, color is ready. Number four is cool. Color as color type, color is color type. Cool. 18, remove this, and I think we are good to go. Run back. Backend is running, and here, run test. Okay, we are printing something. Starting a game. Game has started, but we are not able to play the game. That is fine. That is fine. Error. Error. Saving stuff on the database somehow. Shit. Unnamed portal parameter at 6. Shit. We, yes, yes, to save stuff because shit makes sense. Makes sense because now enums are not equal to numbers. The database has to be updated. Should be setup.sql. White ID is an integer fine. Black ID when reason is not an integer but a string which is like var. Game time is an integer. Timestamp. Right. When reason varchar and IDs are these. Cool. When reason varchar. Cool and cool. 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 And I have to update the database now. So I will hide my screen and update the database. Okay, where can I get some good music playlists that don't cause copyright? I guess on YouTube there might be something. I think on YouTube you are more likely to get copyright. I think on Twitch you are okay, but on YouTube you will get copyright. But the only bad thing is that you won't be able to monetize your video, which is like fine, no problem with that. If you like want to go like totally unhinged, I don't read. Um, Omnic, he live streams after or during the contests, and he just plays music. He doesn't give a fuck. He just plays music, and he does not even speak. At times, he just plays music and random music. Let's see if he has music in this video. Yep, yes, he does. He just listens to music and solves problems. That's cool. It's something you can do. Yo, hello, Kakashi. Sorry, why React? I will be using React. Maybe next, no, React. I will use Next.js for my next project, but for now, React for this one. And hello, Tarun Sharma. What is his source for music anyways? His source? I think he uses Spotify. He just plays music like normally music with Spotify, and he does get copyright. He just does not want any money or anything. He just plays music and listens to music. Like, yes. So bro is cool. Bro is cool. And wait, shit, yes, I have to change the database because of the enum change. And could there be anything else broken? Let's see. We will see. I will have to hide my screen for a bit, or I won't have. I will have to hide my screen. I can type dbms to establish connection with the database, but this will also show like details about the database which I do not want to be shown. Race is still on. Yes, it is 2000 rated. Yep, it is. The screen is hidden. Just a sec. Is there some information which I do not want to be shown? Nope, there is not. It is fine. Cool. You can look at this and select the chess database. And here, wait, shit. Do not select the chess database. Exit the chess database. Would like to delete the database, create new users again. And yes, before I delete the database, I would like to show you that these games are going on to the database. Select all from Rapid Games. Look at this. These all of these games are here in the on the database. Test games. This is Fool's Made, and this was another game. All the games are going on to the database. That is pretty cool. And now I would like to delete this database from here. Login. It is running. That is pretty cool. Post and everything, but you cannot do anything without the password. So cool. Databases. Chess. Delete database. All data will be lost. That is fine. No problem. Chess. Cool. And let's chess and backend database setup.sql, copy, go here, and enter. Tables have been created. Cools. Now we have to create users. Postman, test users, Kakashi and Gintoki, of course, no other options. Post for creating a user. Yes, user create, send, because the backend has to be running for users to be created. It makes sense. When run back, create user. This user is Gintoki. So we have Gintoki. Gintoki's token changes now. Shit. This is the new token. P is 2. And also for Kakashi, let's create a new user, Kakashi. This would be it. Copy, paste, and do we need to do something else? Seem like so. And I don't know, is it audible? There is construction going on in the house next door, and it is very, very audible to me. I don't think it is audible on the stream, so that is cool. But it might be ruining my voice, which might be bad. Okay, now, yep. What else? What else? Yes. First, stop printing this random shit stuff. Back and APIs start. When we were establishing a connection here, get response. Yep. Do not print this. Right. And here, stop one, right, start one, run back one run test and nothing here. Nothing. The response here is message is an object. Message is an object. Okay, a game was started, but the problem came later on. Game was started a game between these. Message was an object you aren't even playing, so this was not message. Message was this. Let's okay, we are facing problem with this. So dot log res dot data and console dot log. Shit, I think we should do JSON dot parts unknown is not as string like yes. Expect this message to be of type string and this is inherently of type unknown. Unknown does not even does make sense, but okay. But this might throw error. So parse is cool. Let rest we will define it here and we will use it later on here. Catch e and if there is an error in that case we will return res dot message. Why is move there? Why do we have move? Why do we have move here? Why do we have move here as a thing here? Why do we have move? This dot error. If we don't do this, then the problem is that rest.data does not exist. The problem is that this json.parse might throw some error. So we can keep this in our try catch block. Okay, yes, try const message equals json.parse message and string message. Okay, message obj object as this catch e ws dot send error true except message except false and invalid move format. Cool, makes sense. And here we can say let message object be of type move move socket request and message object equals this thing and here you will be using message object and do not parse in data. Run the backend and the test. A game is static, but shit again error, and we were able to store the game on the backend, so that is a cool thing. But shit, why do we not read this thing properly? Console.log rs. The message that we got here was move Invalid move format. Invalid move format. Invalid move format. Console.log message. One run back. One run test, and we see is message false. It's pretty cool, which is pretty shit. This should be working, but it is not. What is the type of this? Type is cool. Type is cool. What is the error? Console.log one, run the backend, run the test, and error is here. Okay. Identifier, unexpected identifier, json.parse object. Okay, shit, is message an object? Unexpected identifier, an object. So is message an object? If we don't do this as string, okay, something is happening. Message I am print, let's say type of message, print the type of message. Type of message and use this thing as string. Right. One run backend and one run the test, and what we have here, we see type is object. Type of message is object. So this probably has to do something with Eligio library. Message. So how can we say that what is the expected type of this message? Message is, let's say, um, string. Is this okay? Okay, let's see. One run back, run the backend. One run test. Cool. Not cool. Object is still object. Okay. So now the question would be, which app is this? That is. Wait, this is chess. I'm trying to make chess. Uh, Golden Scene Stories. Hello. Nice to meet you. Wait, this app for programming, for writing code. Shit, this thing is Vim, new Vim. And this is when people use this, they think that they are programmers, and that is not wrong. Like you, when you use NeoVim, you just have an inherent pride in yourself for using NeoVim. So yep, uh, use NeoVim. Uh, okay, and the prob confirm deletion. Wait, what? No, that is from before. Okay, okay. I am using, instead of this, what would be faster is talk. I'm using Elysia WebSockets for my backend, and the message which is received on on the like message uh, function which handles the message which is sent to the backend using the WebSocket from the front end. What is the format of that message? From the front end, I am using json.stringify on an object and then sending that stringified is string. But on the front end, I am getting it But on the back end, I am getting it as object.
This is a classic case of some automatic parsing. On the front end, you're sending a JSON string, but on the back end, assuming you're using something like Elixir's Phoenix or a standard WebSocket library, the framework might be automatically parsing that incoming string as JSON. In short, the back end is doing a kind of JSON parse for you. So from your perspective, you just send a string and the back end treats it as a JSON object immediately.
Okay, so I think if that is what is happening, then if that is what is happening, then instead of saying that this thing is of is type is string, we can say move socket request, and that should work. Okay, this should hopefully work. One, run back, run the test, and okay, success. That is pretty cool. Okay, there was success. There was success. Okay, which is much better than no success. Okay, if no success, that's something else. But yes, we did got success. Wait, again, console.log, that's data. Inside data, there is a thing called move. Yes. So what was the problem? The error message we got here was message undefined. Who is sending this thing? Move number one message is everything is undefined. Okay, what? Who is sending this error message? There was success, so that is fine. So dot log move. Shit, something else is broken. Probably one run back, run the backend, one run test. Okay, yes, we do. We are getting the move, so that is fine. We are getting the move. That is cool. But something else is broken. Got game object. Log got game object. Objecty got game object. And after this, let's say move validated. Are we able to validate the move? And then console.log object updated. Cool. And yes, cool. Cool. Let's see one run back, one run test, and what we see. Move was validated. Okay, move was validated. Then what is the problem? After move was validated, move was not updated. We are facing problem in the updation process. Why are we facing problem in the updation process? Time if color equals color dot white. Color is of type colors. Yes. Okay, I think we are messing up with the colors. I think we might be messing up with the colors. Move is fine. There is no problem with the move. Okay, let's say console dot log updated time, then console.log updated zobrist, and here console.log updated flag, and console.log updated board. One run backend, one run test, and updated time. Okay, we did update time. We are facing problem with zobrist. or something. Update game object here. So we got this printed, but we are not getting past this place. So let's see. Update flag. This takes in color and stuff like that. Are we able to update flag? Let's see. Update flag. Console.log. Got new flag. Got new hash. And yes, cool. One run back. One run test. Cool. And we got new flag, but we were not able to get a new hash. So problem is with the hash function. Go there, new hash, generate next hash. This takes in all these things. Yes, there is problem with this piece. This because piece type has changed now. Get this piece dot hash. Okay. Init book hash, that is yes something zobrist dot init types string colors is a yes think. Okay, the problem is with this import, this is not assignable to type number, which is supposed what is supposed to be a type number. Get piece square hash, wait what, get piece square hash, get is piece square hash. This takes in piece square piece number. Nope. Piece is not of type number. Piece is of what is the type of piece? Yep. For each square piece of piece values, we don't even have to do this now. But piece of pieces, piece of pieces, object dot value, piece of pieces, piece. Yes. We can change this from a number to pieces, and all of our worries are solved. And okay, cool. Of pieces of value pieces. Okay, cool. Let's see one run the backend, run the backend, one run the test, and okay, game is working. Cool. This is going to be fool's mate, checkmate. And game is stored on the backend on the database, and I would like to show here if we select all from rapid games, we do see the game. Here is the whole game, f2 f3 e7 and all of that. Cool, that is pretty cool. Exit, get status, what were the things changed? Yes, there is short stat. Okay, no, pager, get status, no, get diff short stat. Yes, this gives how many insertions and deletions were made. Diff what is something, shit, get diff what is something that I would not like to put there. Probably log statements. Mm, yes, log statements. uh nope. Yep, delete this, delete delete. Cool. And inside the validation update game object, we were printing stuff. Updated time, updated this, delete all this. Current zobrist hash, next hash. Okay, there is no console.log here. Cool. Now check get diff console.log res is not there anymore. Just saying get status, get diff, or get no pager diff 47. We did remove some changes. Okay, get um, diff I want to see before making commit. Yes, we changed move, we removed stuff. Okay, cool. Color enum, we changed database, and I want to make sure that these are only the things. Promotion, yes, these are only the things which have to do with enum, or yeah, everything related to enum in some way, directly or indirectly. It seems so. Okay, get add everything here, get commit, refactor. Enums now have string values. Wait, I think I just made a same this commit. Wait, why do I feel like I made this? Enums now have string values. Shit, what did I do in that commit? I just made that commit. Good. Yep, finally working on the front end, and not even front end. Right now, I have to establish a protocol for communication between the front end and the back end. Enums have string values. Yep, shit, this was very stupid. So I changed enums to have string values, which was not stupid, but making the commit before fixing all the errors which will arise because of this refactor was stupid. So git commit message fix errors caused due to last commit. Yep. Git push origin main. And yes, I do have an alternative motive here, which is my GitHub profile will be a bit greener from now on because of development. Look at this. This is very, very green. 4 commits already. Cool. Okay, so now why did we do this whole enum thing? Because the protocol required us to do that. Interfaces, game here, resign, draw. Cool. Shit. We also did establish a protocol for communication between the front end and the back end. Shit, that is cool. That is very cool. Log.md, go here, set up a websocket socket protocol. Yep, done. Initialize front end. Shit. Okay, now we can actually start working on the front end. Now we do have a protocol. Okay, this is very exciting. We do have a protocol now for WebSocket communication. We have to work on the front end. Before just working on the front end, I would like to show something, a test. Here I have written a few games. Let's test game 2, even though there is no test game 1. This just says test game 2. Run backend, run the backend. And here, okay, bun, run, test. Oh shit, no, we should not, because the time gap between each move is quite a bit right now. Yes, it is 2 seconds. 2 seconds is long. 1 point, yeah, I think 1.5 seconds is fine. Run test, and like listen carefully to these photos, right? Don't look at them carefully, listen to them carefully. Game is running. That is very cool. Kakashi made a move. Gintoki made a move. They are making moves. This is very cool. And checkmate. Four skates. Pretty cool. We just have to do the same thing on web browser. Exactly the same thing on a web browser. Kakashi and Gintoki, who's next? Smoker. Maybe Smoker's on. Smoker was surprised when Luffy smiled when he was about to be killed in, was it Laugh Tale? What was the, where was Gold D Roger executed? Lockdown, yes, on lockdown. Smoker. Okay, front end. Shit, front end. What? Okay, I don't know how to even begin with the front end. This folder is completely empty. There is literally nothing in this folder. Uh, React, how to set up React installation. Create a React app. We can use create React app. I think what we have on our hands is what is called a monorepo. Monorepo. And okay, let's do this manually without using some build tool or something. Shit, but if we do not use something like white or something like that, then we will not get hot module reloading and stuff, which is very helpful. But we won't get that. We would have to stop our front end server and start it again. But if we do go forward with using something like white, then wheat or white, wait, what is the pronunciation? They have pronunciation here, yes.
Vite.
Wheat. So wheat. If we go forward with something like wheat, CRA is bad. Shit. Who? Yes, you won. CRA is bad. What is CRA? Uh, I would recommend to first use Figma to design the layout. No, I guess just go in. But before even having some idea about the layout, I have to do something here. Or ask Gemini to create one and stick to that only. I found it much efficient and better for front end. It helps me stay within bounds. It is wheat as what? Wheat. What? White. Wheat. It says wheat. Okay. By the way, this is a cool idea because of our lack of imagination in related to design, using Gemini for creating a beautiful image and then we can bring it out forward. We cannot design because I don't know why we cannot design. Okay, now I have a one project which has a source folder, which has a backend folder, and it also has a front end folder. And on the front end, I want to start using React, and I also want to use hot module reloading, because that is very helpful in production, and not in production, in development. So how do I make it possible? If I were to use white, then that, I don't know how it works.
Yeah, Vite is a perfect fit for that. It's super lightweight and designed exactly for development speed, especially with React. Here's the quick breakdown. First, you set up a Vite project inside your front end folder. You can do this easily by running npm create Vite at latest in the front end directory. When it asks you for a template, choose React. Then Vite will handle the dev server and HMR out of the box. Once it's set up, you'll just run npm install and npm run dev, with hot module replacement enabled automatically. The bonus is, since it's just a dev server, you can still proxy API requests to your bum backend easily. So basically, your front end development is blazing fast, and when you build it for production, Vite will bundle it and you just deploy the static assets. So yeah, Vite is kind of a dream for this use case.
Wait, so this thing is a monorepo because the front end and the back end, two projects are in the same repository.
Ah,
But for the at the main root level, there I have a package.json and node modules also, which belong to the backend. So in a monorepo, do we have in the root folder all of these package.json and node modules, or do we have them in these respective front end and backend folders themselves? How does it work?
Good question. In a monorepo, you typically have two patterns. The first pattern is a root package setup where you keep a single top level package JSON and a single node modules. In that case, you'd manage both front end and back end dependencies from the root, and then you usually have separate scripts or use tools like Learner or Turborepo to orchestrate it all. The second pattern is a nested approach, where you have separate package JSONs inside both the front end and back end folders. That way, each project is independently versioned and has its own node modules. Vite in particular plays nicely with this approach since the front end is self contained. In short, if your back end and front end are pretty separate concerns, I'd recommend having their own package JSON files inside each of them. That gives you a clean separation of concerns, and each can have its own dependencies, scripts, and life cycles. The root can still be a central orchestrator if you want to run both at once, but the core dev workflows stay isolated.
Okay, this second version seems okay, but the problem with this, I have two doubts with this, is first of all, my backend already has a package.json and node modules in the root folder. And second is that would I be able to use enums and common functions among the backend and the front end if yes, if I were to separate package.jsons in their respective directories?
Yeah, those are valid concerns. Let's break it down. First, since your backend already owns the root package JSON, you can keep it at the root and simply let the front end have its own separate package JSON inside its folder. Basically, the root still controls backend deps, but the front end is isolated for its own tooling. Now, for sharing enums or common logic, you still can do it, but you need a strategy. Usually, you create a shared or common package. Think of it as a folder at the root that both front end and backend depend on. So you'd structure something like common, your shared code, enums, types, etc. Backend, your backend code, front end, your React code. Then both front end and backend can depend on this common package via a relative path. In the front end, you'd add something like dependencies common, and in the back end, the same logic. That way, both sides import from a single source of truth, but your front end and back end stay neatly compartmentalized. It's a bit more setup, but once it's in place, you get types.
Cool, that is actually very cool. Create a React app. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Right. CA is CRA is bad, so we will use wheat. We will use wheat. But this won't be an SPA, would it be? I don't think it being an SPA would help. So you would need to implement routing yourself with raw React. No, I can use React router, and SPA is for initializing a React project, and it has nothing to do with how you are routing your project. For routing, you can just import React router DOM, no matter what you used, SPA or Veth. And why not use something which gives routing out of the box? Yes, React router DOM. Okay. So, shit, this is new grounds. Shit, source front end. Okay, bun run. Shit, no. I heard somewhere that white wheat. Shit, my camera working. Cool. That this is very fast. Let's see. Philosophy, CLI, features, guide. How do I start? Where does it start? Yes. Now zoom. Bun. Cool. Bun create white. Okay. Project name. Shit, I already. Stop. Front end. Bun create white. Yes, front end. Mhm. Shit. And this TUI, look at this. This is very cool. This is very cool. This TUI, how was this created? White, white JS, white. Wait, is this the same? Yes, this is the same as this. Cool. White. This is written in TypeScript. TypeScript. They used some TypeScript library for the TUI thing. Okay. React and any other option? React, TypeScript. SWC. We are using TypeScript tool, but SWC, software compatible. What is SWC invite? Speedy web compiler in invite is a high performance JavaScript TypeScript compiler written in Rust used as a faster alternative to tools like Babel. So, okay, is there any caveats of using this? When using white, I'm getting an option of going with TypeScript or TypeScript plus Speedy Web Compiler or React Compiler. What are the fallbacks and what are the good things about these options?
Ah, yeah, that choice is all about trade offs. Let's break it down. The TypeScript option is the simplest. Vite uses its built in TypeScript support, so it compiles TypeScript to JavaScript, but it doesn't do extra optimizations. It's straightforward, especially if you're just starting. Now, the TypeScript plus SWC option is a turbo boost. SWC is a super fast JavaScript TypeScript compiler written in Rust. It's much quicker than the default TypeScript compiler, so if you care about build speed, especially during development, this is a big win. The trade off is that it's newer, so some edge cases or advanced TypeScript features might not be fully supported yet, but for most apps, it's awesome. The React option is basically a preset that bundles in React support automatically, no need for extra config. It still uses Vite speed, but it also wires up JSX out of the box. If you pick this, it's basically a ready to go React environment with TypeScript baked in. If you just want a lean React plus TypeScript setup with blazing speed, go for TypeScript plus SWC. If you want simplicity and just pure React,
And
pick
now
React.
I'm getting a option of using White 8 beta or not. And I think that just like with beta, I will get experimental features. Sometimes things might break, as happens with beta.
Exactly. The beta version is usually a playground for new features, so you might get performance boosts or early access to cool stuff, but you also risk some instability or things changing on you unexpectedly. If you're in a production or serious dev environment, I'd stick to stable Vite for now. Once you're comfortable and you need to cut.
Okay, cool. Okay. Mhm. Okay. So inside our front end directory, shit, this is running, right? 5173. Yes, this is running right now. That is something. In front end, we have separate node modules and everything. Cool. Bun log and everything. Cool. Okay, shit. Assets, app, shit. I'm scared. 24, delete 19. Shit, I don't even know if I have a is LSP running. LSP is running. I'm getting error. So yes, LSP is running. Wait, React logo is declared, but value is never read. So instead of a warning, this is giving error. That is something. Let's say H1. Hello there. And on main, we get the root and start the root. Okay. Index.css also has some stuff which is not there any longer. Okay, what do we have here? Hello there, empty React project. What else do we need? Shit, okay. Now we have to work hard. Is it WebAssembly Achit was talking about? Wait, WebAssembly? No, he's not. I don't think he's talking about WebAssembly here. He's talking about like routing in React, which is which is like when you go to youtube.com, you do at the rate something and you go to that specific URL routing. This is routing. And who and shit, I'm live. Shit, you can go and watch my video. Okay, white is done. Create React app. Nope. Build a React from setup react.dev. Learn installation and all is handled. Describing the UI, I would like to read these stuff. That would be cool. The first component. Okay. Okay. Now we have to set up a few things. Okay, shit. Log is going to be very helpful now. Initialize front end. Okay, what does this mean? Initializing a front end. This log is going to be very useful from now on. Initializing a front end. Describe router architecture. Describe the routing architect. I'm just using the word architecture because it looks cool. Describe router architecture or directory structure. Structure. Describe the router architecture using React router DOM. And wait, no, and like before this, uh, set up React using wheat, wheat, yes, wheat, using wheat. Okay, that's that is quite a bit of work. Okay, we have set up this part, so this part is done. Cool. We set up project like this. That is cool. I think we can give this here. Yes, we can. Cool. Okay, there is some space. Cool. Now we have to define the directory structure. How is the directory structure going to be for this? And also, I would also have to change the my tmux thing here. Okay, I think in here we can have a folder named components. Okay, this will have the components. Let's have a test component index.tsx. Yes, we are working with tsx now. Test const test or initial return initial instead of div, substitute div with h1 globally. Cool. So in this directory we will have all of our components and we can subdivide those components if we ever have to. Cool. And main.tsx, so we don't have to do anything with main.tsx. App.tsx imports and starts stuff. Import initial from, wait, what? Cannot find module. Initial is declared but is never used. Shit, I think there is a convention that think there is a convention. The name of, not that I think there is a convention that name of these things have to be capital letters. Uh, Name of React components have to start with capital letters. Shit. Import initial y is there. Nothing here. Components dot initial cannot find module components dot initial. Why am I not exporting components index dot tsx? This is exporting. This is saved. Save. Nope. Remove every backend stuff. We are now purely front end people. Initial is not importing here. Why is maybe we cannot import anything that is outside, but then how would we import public stuff? So we can import anything that is in here. Initial. Okay, so why are we not able to import this? Shit. Import slash components dot slash index dot tsx. Expected corresponding closing. No, this is self closing. This is self closing. Cannot find name initial. It is in this initial export initial. Okay, import initial from this module type has no default export. Okay, now has no export member initial. Did you mean initial? Okay, shit, I messed up the spelling. Initial, substitute initial with initial. Cool. And what do we have on the front end? Initial. That is initially very cool. It is not so easy to set up a React router. It was quite complicated to implement as opposed to use something like Next or something. Also, I just noticed I was watching a stream for 10 minutes ago. Shit, okay, quite tedious as oppose. I don't get this. I guess thank you. Thank you for watching, being here. Like, actually, thank you. Quite tedious as opposed to file based routing. So you are saying that abstract manual routing is quite difficult compared to directory based routing, which is provided to us by something like Next. And that is true, but here I do want to do this normal routing. I will be using Next for in the foreseeable future, but for now I want to do this. So yes, cool. React router DOM. Okay. Describe the directory structure. I don't think we will need anything else other than this, what we already have here. In the source, yep, stuff goes here and components go here, and all the other components would come here. This would have different directories as stuff goes on. Yep. Different directories would be added to this. and cool, looks cool. Stop this. Get a status. Get, there is just somehow always this colon W. Get a status and front end. Untracked files in front end. Okay. Get diff shit. Untracked files front end. Uncommented. I want to see what were the things inside front end. Feature is feature front end initialized. Look at it. Should I did I push node mod? No, I didn't push node modules. That is good. That is good. Origin made. I want to see what were the things which went there. Source. Okay, there is a single directory here. Source. Then here we have front end, and we do not have node modules, which is very cool. And yes, here we will have source. In source we will have this, and assets, I don't know. In public we will have photos and stuff for chess pieces. In components we will have a directory structure which will evolve over time. Now we have to add routing. Okay, shit, that is cool. Quite tedious. That is cool. Node modules by default are not added because I did sometimes. At some point I did commit node modules and my friends were laughing at me because of that. I do not want to be laughed at again. Front end. I would like to create another tmux thing. tmux.sh, another tmux window, and it will be called server. Yes, just server. Substitute log with server. And this would just always run the server either for front end or for back end. It does not matter. Cool. Kill server, tmux set, attach chess, and yes, we have to do some maths. 2100, 180, 2280, 2200, wait, shit, yes, 2280 plus 76, 2280, 80 plus 7, 280 plus 76, 356, 2356. Okay, that is correct. Cool. Uh, 40 into 78 would be 2800, 2008. Wait, 78, 80. We can do 80. Yes. 4 and 3200 minus 40, 3120. Okay, good enough. 94 into 66, we can do 6600 minus 66 into 6, 6 into 6, 600, 360 minus 36, 396, 396, 6300 minus 96, 6300 minus 96, 204. Okay, and now the last one, 54 into 63, 55, 3000, no, 300. 3000 because it is 50 years. 3150, 3150, 454, 240, yes, 240 plus 12, 252, 252, 3150, 3350 plus 52, 3004, Shit. Okay, that was intense. Source front end one run. Wait, how do we run this? Package dot json one run white. I think one run white and cool on 5173. This is working cool. And node modules by default do not add empty directory, so there is an extra thing that we will do. They will create a git ignore file in the directory they don't want to push, and the only entry in it would be, okay, writing star would mean everything regex, and so add all the contents of the directory to git ignore, and git would not look at that, effectively making the directory empty. So it being in the root would mean yes, that makes sense. We can like have git ignore wherever we want. Mm, mm. Shit, okay. But the implication would be if you have git ignore inside the directory w- from which you do not want to upload anything to your GitHub, then you would be having empty directory. Wait, where is it? Empty. You did say empty directory. But instead of that, you could have your git ignore file outside the directory, and inside your git ignore, you could have the name of the directory which you do not want to push. So that is cool. I think people wouldn't know that the directory don't need to be pushed. Wait, people wouldn't know that the directory don't won't need to be pushed. Okay, shit. Git ignore file itself would not be pushed. That is the point that you are making. Shit, shit, that is yes. Okay, shit. Git ignore file itself wouldn't be pushed if you do star. Shit, that is crazy. Source frontend, uh, React router DOM. Frontend ls one add React router DOM is this. Yes, that is the name. And here and think router.ts include no. Wait, shit. This was giving stuff. Okay. Uh, import React. Like, look it up. React router DOM. React router DOM. Import routes. Wait, remove this. Do this. React router and the documentation. Read. Okay, shit. And this package simply exports React repository. They have a home page. What? Remix framework. React router is a multi-strategy router for React, bridging the gap from React 18 to 19. You can use it maximally as a React framework or minimally as a library with your own architecture. Framework library React router. This is the framework, and th this is the library, I think. React router, inside router, have this and app. Okay, and next routing. Okay, and all of this goes inside app. All of this goes inside app. And I do not remember what I did in the evolution thing. App.tsx had, okay, just returns a component directly. Interfaces was inside this folder. Interface, I put interfaces inside the source folder, which is, I think, okay, yes. And components are also inside source. Shit, components should be inside source. Why do I not have components inside source right now? Why do I have components outside source? That is wrong. Components here and inside here, index.tsx, and here export default initial equals. Does this work? There's default const export default initial, and okay, nothing in the harpoon. App.tsx, import initial from components and use initial here. Are we still up? We are still up. We are still up. That is cool. Okay. Yes. So this is what I had. Assets helper. I had helper functions, which yeah, we will add. Okay. Cool. React router. They are starting React router inside app dot. No shit. They seem to be having a different directory. They are importing app from app and get element by ID root. This has to be done in, shit, this has to be done inside main. This has to be done inside main, it seems. Yes, the routes have to be set up inside the main function. Okay. Import router or route or what? Browser router. Browser router, and here browser router. Browser router. And strict mode does something to this. Okay, I want to understand what is this whole thing. I do get that this create route function takes in an element, and this exclamation mark here means this thing is not null. Just trust me, bro. And on this element renders this whole thing. Okay, empty directories won't get added. For Tailwind, I wouldn't recommend to use AI. Most of the LLMs still use Tailwind 3.5, whereas current is 4, and there are major changes on how are things done in both. Wait, LLM as in like auto suggestion would be there. We'll see. Okay. Um, what is this? What does this mean? Hmm, the browser browser router component, the browser router component has strict mode component which has app component. What does the router and the strict mode do. What do they do? Does is not the right word. What do is the right word. Let's dissect it properly instead of it just saying it works. Don't touch it. Yep, that is a nice statement. Create root. This is from React 18. Okay, so we used to use something else. It tells take this DOM node root and let React control everything inside it. Yep, before React 18, we used React DOM render. Yes, okay, I remember, I think from somewhere, I don't remember correctly, but yep, okay. This comes from a React router, specifically browser router. This what it does, it enables client-side routing. Client-side routing is cool, meaning URL changes, page doesn't reload. React swaps components instead. Without browser router, nothing. Routing components like routes, route, use navigate, use params will not work. What problem does it solve? Normally, it adds routes, it uses history API so that we can go back in history like I go here and then I can go back. That is cool. Strict mode. Okay, but this is just telling us what is happening. But how? How might be a bit too complicated. Okay, we will move to it. We'll move to the next one. This is from React itself. Important. This does nothing in production. Okay, it is for developers only. What a strict mode does, it helps detect unsafe lifecycle usage, side effects in render, depreciated APIs, unexpected behavior. Okay, this is for development only. Has nothing in production. Intentionally runs some things twice in development. Example, use effect runs twice, component render twice. Why? To expose side effects. If your code breaks because it ran twice, that means your logic wasn't safe. It forces you to write pure, predictable code. Should you remove it? Only if you are debugging something weird. Otherwise, keep it. Okay, strict is fine. Why is router outside strict mode? Shit, that is. You wrote this, you also could have written this. Shit, both works. Usually people put strict mode at at the very top. It doesn't change routing behavior. Mental model. Think of it like, okay, shit, that I didn't even like look consider. We have browser router outside and strict mode inside. Shit, we should have this in kind of words. Makes sense so that routes are also checked strictly. Okay, and now in strict mode makes sense, kind of enough sense it makes. But for browser router, how does it browser router does this? Do we want to get into it? I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Let's go to the source code, right? For how, but maybe not now. Yeah, ChatGPT is fine, good enough. First principle, the browser already has a URL system. Browsers expose the history API. Okay, browsers expose the history API window on pop state. This API allows you to change the URL without reloading the page. What browser router actually does is basically a thin wrapper around window history. It creates a history listener. Internally, it subscribes to add event listener pop state. That event listener fires whenever user presses back forward history changes. When this happens, it updates React state with the new location. React re-renders, it stores current location in React state. Okay, so I think in summary we can say this uses APIs which are provided by the browser to do what it does, which is routing and keeping track of where we have been to go back and forward in history. Okay, and how do we add routing? Let's add some routing. browser routes, path this, element this, path that, element that. And what are the other things? We can give path, we can give element, and more complex stuff also, depending on, yeah, depending on how we, what we do. Router, path, wait, is it not router? It is route, routes, route. Inside this we have routes and route. This has path slash element equals app.tsx. Route has no corresponding closing tag. It does. Wait, shit, I messed up. Cool. Path, let's say an example path, hello or walrus. Why not walrus? Element would be a element which says h1 walrus here. So this should be working. If we go to slash walrus, yeah, cool. So routing is also established. Cool. Source code, I guess. That is enough for routing. We can look up stuff whenever we need. Nested routes. Wait, what is nested routes? We have a route which does not have a closing tag. It comes later on here. Inside this, we have this index path setting dashboard slash settings will have settings index or index have the path of the parent is automatically included as a prefix. Child routes render outlet in the parent route. Function dashboard has an outlet and the child will be inside the outlet. Ooh, child will be inside the outlet. Okay, cool. Whatever. Now shit. Ooh, okay, let's create a component. Describe the router architecture. Yeah, done. Let's create a component for the chess game. For the chess game, we would be needing quite a lot of stuff. Okay, chess game component, and we will have to define what we mean by that in due time. And helper functions for API communication. Wait, shit, but before that, we have to do log in, log out. Shit makes sense. Log in, log out is, yes, something we have to do. Uh, shit, yes, today I will establish log in, log out. Login slash not log out, login sign up page. Okay, let's just work on login sign up page for now. So for that, we have to add APIs. I want to make a git commit. Is it okay to make comments like this? Very, very small comments. I don't know. Is there a convention about comments? In my front end application, I just made a few changes in the main.tsx file and added React router. And now the next task is to have a login sign up page. Is it okay, or like is it convention to make a commit before moving on to login logout page?
Ah, that's a solid instinct, and yeah, it's definitely a good practice. Think of each commit as a snapshot of a logical step in your work. By committing after you set up the router, you have a clear, stable point before introducing the complexity of authentication. Plus, if anything breaks, you have a safe rollback. So, yes, commit now, then proceed with the login logic. Keep those milestones small and meaningful.
Okay, that is fine. Cool. Okay. Git add this commit message. Uh, feet routing. I don't have to say front end routing. Git push origin main, and now working on the server is running. Cool. New. Okay. Login and logout. We need components inside components. Login.tsx. Um, const login equals something and export default login return actual login page and one more sign up.tsx. It S is capital. Sign up.tsx const sign up equals empty return sign up page export default sign up Google walrus. It will just be there, let's say, for a while now. Walrus login sign up element here would be login. So wait, did I not save the sign up file? SIGNUP sign up sign up. And do we have these things now? Login, we have the login page. Sign up, we do not have the sign up page. Shit. SIGNUP, SIGNUP, SING, SIGNUP sign up page. Okay. And what now? We would need some helper functions to make API calls. Yes, helper is not a file. It's router.ts, remove that directory helper inside helper. And yes, before moving, I would like to go to the washroom. I will be right back in 1 minute. Cool. And I'm back. Okay, cool. Shit. Okay, shit. I messed up by. Okay, shit. I messed up with the video, but okay, yeah, it is cool. Sign up page. Helper functions. We would need helper functions to make requests on the backend. And shit, one more thing is important, and that is I would not like to go to the backend code to read what the functions request API signature is to make a request. I would like that to be visible at a common place, which can be right here. apis.txt, apis.md, apis.md. Cool, that looks cool. Authentication. I do not need a date. Authentication. Okay. We can use Postman to look at what the actual APIs are. Postman, open like right here. Yes. Close this one. Okay. This is it. Create user. To create user, we say share. I think do this means something. This sort of stuff. URL. URL is post. Yes, it is post. Colon slash slash whatever the URL is. Like, yes, URL. Shit, my laptop is going to die. URL slash user slash create. Right. User create and body is I think it is it goes inside this tool. Wait, do we have to send? Yes, we do have to send stuff in here. And what is the body like? Body is username and pass, not password, but pass string And this is also string username, right? That is the body. And response, expected response is expected response is yes, this error, which is of type bool, boolean, and token, small t token, is of type string. And I would like to remove, substitute these things with emptiness globally. What if I right shift? And I think that is a nice way to write API stuff. How will this look? How will this look? The package, the plugin, Vim plugin I am using for Markdown is the render Markdown. Dependencies, okay, render Markdown, render in React, no, render Markdown and Vim. I want to convert this, the whole file, this thing into the legit Markdown, which I will see later on. Not like this, like final product. Installation commands Markdown enable, buff enable, disable, toggle, alias for enabled, render Markdown enabled is enabled. Okay, shit. Config preview. Okay, why this blue stuff? I want these code like snippets here for this, and I think this is we can check in readme.md for how far is okay. That is from before readme.md and code lazy new and okay, shit. It takes three. Okay, shit. This is what we use in Discord. This is the exact same thing. Okay. And this is TypeScript. Low skates. Let's go. Okay, and P, P TypeScript. Cool. And it's I think we can say bash. Bash is fine for this. How's that? How's that? Cool. Okay, that does look cool. Cool. Authentication for creating a user. Okay, cool. And log in user, right? URL and bash user slash login, then body is expected to be a certain way. Post. And that is all that we need. Body and headers. If there are headers, then headers will also be there. Yep, whatever the thing is. Create. Nope, we need to look at login. User slash login. Cool. user slash login, that is the exact thing. The response is the same. Ignoring completion line number is not the current line. TypeScript, and inside we have username string and password as string. Is that the thing? That is the thing. Pass string, username is string. Cool. Cool. And yep. Okay. These are the only things we have to work on right now. Okay, let's create a function that sends a request to this URL, URL slash users slash create, and this body. Okay, so what are we going to use for sending API requests from the front end to back end? For the WebSocket, we will be using WebSocket, native WebSocket, but for API requests, what can I use as the API request sending library from the front end to the back end?
Ah, good question. You've got a bunch of solid options here. The classic is using Fetch, which is built into modern browsers, no extra dependencies, just native. If you want something a bit more feature rich, Axios is super popular. It's got built in interceptors, easy error handling, and it works in both browser and Node. Another good lightweight option is Kai, which is a tiny wrapper around Fetch, but with a nice API. So it's really about your needs. If you just
Let's use Axios. Axios JS. Okay, that is some color. Install Axios. What it is? Promise based HTTP client for Node.js and the browser. It is isomorphic equal. It can run in the browser and is the term isomorphic correct? Isomorphic is like it doesn't change. Amphibian, I think, should be the term. On the server side, it uses the native Node.js HTTP module, while on the client it uses uh, XML HTTP request features, all the features. Okay, installing using Bower, Jamie Bower, npm bun bun add exhaust to the front end only, and helper create user. Shit, I think I messed up in this. Create user, yes. And log in. Yeah, cool. No mess up here. These are the logs. Okay. Create user dot ts, import Axios. Axios declared but never used. Okay. This will have a function which const create. It takes in username and password is declared, but it's export. Await Axios dot post to this URL. We also need backend base URL. So, which we can have right here, or maybe as either we will have a file which exports the base URL, or we will have .env file. How do we do that? What do we have? I want to have a base URL variable which is available throughout the front end directory for each Axios instance to have. And is it which is better? Either I have it as a environment variable, or I have a constant.ts file which exports that URL.
Ah, great question. Both approaches can work, but there are trade offs. If you use environment variables like a .env file, it's super flexible. Each environment, development, staging, production can have its own base URL. You just load them at runtime and you keep them out of your code so they're safer and more adaptable. On the other hand, if you just hard code it in a constants TS file, it's simpler. You import it everywhere, it's always there, no extra config, but it's static. If you deploy to different environments, you'd have to manually swap those constants or build different versions. In short, if you need per environment flexibility, go with environment
Mm.
variables. If you just want a single constant that never changes, then a constants TS file is fine.
Nope, I would like something more professional like environment variables. How do I create environment variables, or how do I create files for different environments, like for development and production? How do I segregate these variables differently?
Ah, perfect. So in a Vite project, this is actually pretty straightforward. Vite uses environment variables via .env files, and it expects them to start with Vita. So for example, you create a .env file for development in the root. You might have something like Vite API base URL as host at localhost 3000. Then you create a .env production file for production. Vite API base URL is called API example.com. Vite automatically loads the file based on the mode, development or production. In your code, you can just read it like this: configurable Vite API base URL. Then every time you run Vite in development with npm run dev, it uses the dev file. When you build with npm run build, it uses the production file. This keeps everything clean and all the variables are scoped so they don't leak to the global environment. So it's both professional and flexible.
That is very cool. Okay, so .env, uh, it expects white base API URL equals with commas, no, with nothing. HTTPS localhost. And how do I import this? Okay, import dot meta dot env dot this dot env is here, source helper base URL is not equal to this. Base URL is equal to process dot env. It says import dot meta dot env dot env dot white API URL, but its value is never read. It will be read here. Base URL. Is this cool? Is this working? Yep, we will have to see. Get the base URL. We make the request. Takes in the user name and password and returns the JWT token. Yep, but for now we will see. Console.log. Okay, console.log. Await whatever the result is of this type, and uh, console.log that thing. Okay, let's have on the login page a single button, let's say button which says login, and this on click runs a function, and the function it runs is right, input. Shit, yes, we can like legit have the whole thing. Input, I think ID. How do wait without ID? I think we can use this without ID. Use is state, using user state. Const user username set user name equals use state string initially empty import use state. Okay. And okay, what are the things? On change, update the value, and type is text, and internally it has user name. Is that okay? That is okay. That is username. Let's say password, kind of the same thing. Const password set password use state string password, and here password key and a button. I should like probably add these things. On click, and yeah, console.log. Do not console.log. Call create user function. Create user and const have a message. Message use state string initially empty. Have the message. Just yeah, have the message here. Set message. Yep, set message would be on click. Let's say this will return something instead of console.log. This will return this, and that will be used to set message argument of type. Okay, shit. It's string. Expected comma. Where? Why would you expect comma? Set message this thing. This doesn't return promise. This awaits the response. Await the response. Return a response. What is the type of response? Axios response. So if we say type of this is Axios response, then expect, why would you expect this? Await, okay, await, shit, makes sense, await. Why a comma? Why, where? TypeScript expected comma. Somehow a comma is required somewhere, somehow. To use pure CSS, let's go. Yeah, that would be very difficult. Pure CSS, I'll be using Tailwind, but right now this does not work. What is the problem with this? Okay, let's see. Hmm, 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 hmm. Mm, expected this, got this on click. Okay, shit makes sense. Await, and here we will say, can we give in a async function? Okay, cool. Let's go. Sign up. Nope. Sign up not working yet. Login is working and shit, login is not working. Login is not working. Hello. Okay, everything is empty. There is nothing in the root. Legit nothing. Login. 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 And login has all of this. Okay, console. There is some error. Children not use dangerous set inner element. An error occurred in input component. Consider adding an error boundary to your tree to customize your. Okay, let's see. We comment some stuff out. Do we get? Yes, we do get the remaining stuff. The problem is this: consider adding an error boundaries. There was some error. Initial hook. Hello. Question: why are you on a mission to be the best programmer when there is a lot of hype in AI replacing coders? Uh, just getting better. I just want to get better at something, and yep, just that. I also came to know about Pico. Who is Pico? Pro is Jiatan, the one who hacked uh, XZ XZ GitHub. Yes, cool. Who is Pico? Picometer, or this Pico most commonly refers to Raspberry Pi Pico. Is this what you are referring to? Pico, Raspberry Pi Pico. Okay. Shit, this does not work. This does not work. An error occurred in input component. Consider adding an element boundary to your tree to customize error handling behavior. To customize error handling behavior, we can visit this. But why can I not click on this? Strict get derived state from error. So what is all this? On click this thing. Right. This function is not running. This will run later on at some point. if shit, because I'm in the front end. Cool. But run back end is running, front end is running. Mhm. Async Pico CSS, Pico CSS, minimal CSS framework, like CSS framework. Get Pico. Is this like Tailwind? Placeholder, enter Arial invalid. A superpowered HTML reset with just the right amount of everything. Pico is a great starting point for a clean and lightweight design system. Okay, what does it do? Pico. Using Pico, we can just say this. Without Pico, we give all this utility CSS framework. Wait, so Pico does all of the. This is the base button. We are not using something else other than the base button. We are also not doing anything other than this. Here we have to give classes. Here we are not giving anything and it is still somehow is working. Okay. Brightness. Shit, I cannot do anything with this. Examples. You are opening a code sandbox. Just proceed to review. Okay, this is built using Pico. Where do I see the code? Shit. Progress bar is also there. Source code. Pico CSS. 500 lines of code. Button autofocus. Okay, I will have to see how this is working out. Footer, let's look at one thing. Footer has a small, something called small shit for small text, makes sense. Pico href. Okay, and we didn't give any styling. This just worked. Somehow this just worked. Okay. Okay, back to this. How do we create a user? This is like the most basic thing we can do in a front end to create a user. Okay. It's just like do some random stuff. Why does this not work? Why? Okay, we are getting all of these errors and we have all this, but if we comment all this out, shit, save, comment all this out, we don't see any error. Okay, ungot input is a void element tag and must neither have children nor empty. Wait, input has some stuff. Makes sense. Okay, shit, the error was because of this. uh, Placeholder, no, what do we give here? Text. Type is text. Yes. No. How to give input to input tab? What do we call that thing? HTML CSS. value. I think it is value. Yes, value. Okay, value will be equal to username, and here the value will be equal to password, and we should be good to go. We are good to go. Cool. Look at this. This is amazing. Kakashi. Password has to be pretty cool. Password at the rate 1234. Log in, and server is listening. On click log in. Create user. Did this not work? Console.log res. Login. Okay. 404 not found. Undefined API user slash undefined API. HTTP localhost 2000. 2000. This should be working, but it is not working somehow. Why? First of all, this route is wrong. This route is wrong. Console.log. Wait. Route is base URL plus API users route, and console.log route. Okay, what is the route that we are getting? Undefined slash API slash route slash router user slash user. Mhm. Okay, so base URL is undefined env.white.api URL. Okay. So process dot import env variables in white. How do we import env variables in white? .env file in the project root. Yes, this is exactly what we have. Import.meta.env white API URL. White API URL is the exact name. This is what we have. Import.meta env backend URL is not the right name. The right name is this. White base API URL. Maybe we were messing this up. Let's see now. Okay, URL is fine. URL is fine. Cool, cool. Remove this and new user. Password is password at the rate or exclamation 123 and error. Okay, access to this from origin has been blocked by course error. Okay, on the server we have to remove course error. It is not for heavy work, I guess. I also don't it didn't explore much. It has zero dependencies on JS like other CSS frameworks. Okay, that is, I think, cool. Okay, I will be using like Tailwind for now for this. Shit. Okay. So we have to fix course error on the back end. Okay. 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 Course how to allow how to allow or fix course on back end using when using Elysia. How to fix course on back end when using Elysia. You are using Elysia, so let's fix course front end is this, back end is as this. Okay, correct way in Alicia bun and Alicia slash course import course and in apps use course to allow all URLs. This is good for development. Okay, we will do this then. And for specific URLs given an object to this thing, origin, I can keep origin to this thing, which is recommended actually. Professional setup, we are professionals, we will use this. Okay, so let's bun add Alicia course. Shit, what was the thing then? At the rate Elijah JS. One and at the rate Elijah JS slash course and that other cool. And where do we have to go? APIs.ts. This is the main router. No, this is not the main router. The main router is index.js JS in here. And we have to say use course course, and let's give this course an object origin. Wait, what should be the URL? HTTP with HTTP slash local host 5173 5173. Ooh. Run back end, run the back end, log in the server, and still we got blocked by course. If we allow all the URLs, what will happen then? One run back, allow all the URLs. Okay, 404 not found. API slash user does not make sense. Yes, that is the wrong URL. Slash user slash created. That is the correct one. And we did get something. Okay, we got okay. Objects, message. Okay, sure, it makes sense. This is because of the message here. Children cannot be these things. We just console.log the whole thing. Okay. And if you were to create user 2, it password at the rate 1234. Cool. We do see everything here. Data error is true. Shit, error is true. Why invalid input expected is string received undefined? What expected is string received undefined? For what? For password. For password, it expected is string but received undefined. I messed up. Yes, I messed up here. This should work. But shit, I guess in that case I should make change on the back end. But for now, let's work with this, roll with this. Login, and we are able to create a new user, it seems. Inside data, error false, and we have the token. Cool. So we can create a new user from the front end. Good enough. What is the progress? We can create a new user from the front end. Cool. Never heard of this framework. Man, can you explain which one? I am creating similar project with React and Fiber. Which Elysia? This for backend. Okay. I also heard about this the first time when creating this project, and like there's nothing to explain. This is just a simple backend library, just like Express or Fiber, which I don't know. Like, yeah, there are different libraries. They all do legit the same thing. But yes, one thing that is different about this is this library can only be used with Bun, because this uses Bun specific features and is very fast. So that is cool. I think they also have a graph somewhere where they were sitting on Express or something. Why do they have waifus? Blogs, dogs, at a glance. Interactive tutorial. Yep. Elysia with one number of stuff done is this. Express with node is 15,000 stuff, like average 16,000 stuff things done, and Elysia with one is 255,000, which is much better than 15,000. So one Elysia is faster, feels similar to Express. Fiber is a library of Golang. Okay, Fiber is Golang backend library. Okay, that is fibrous. Okay, I will be ending the stream, but before ending the stream, it has been like long enough. Is user authentication would be done today, like beautifully. I would add some beautiful stuff for user authentication. And before ending, I want to play a game of Wordle. Shit, what is this? This is Bosnia? No, Tanzania. Okay, shit. Close enough, close enough. Above Tanzania, Ethiopia. Okay, let's go. Members, Somalia. Neighbors, not members. Somalia and shit. Somalia, South Sudan, Tanzania. Shit, Tanzania is not a neighbor. South Sudan, Somalia, Ethiopia, Egypt. Egypt should be a member. Egypt is not here though. Yes, none of these is Egypt. This is South Sudan. I thought this was South Sudan, but okay. Central African Republic, maybe? No, okay. Eritrea. This is Eritrea. Ethiopia. Rwanda. Ethiopia. Shit, Tanzania. Botswana, no. Maybe Kenya. Yeah, okay, Kenya. Kenya is there. Okay, cool. South Sudan. Sudan. Okay, shit. Okay, one more to go. And this is the last chance to get this right. Okay, we have to get this right. Last chance. What is this country? Get this. Any clues? It is this part fitting into some other country. Nope. It is this fitting into Ethiopia? Nope. This is some other country here inside this country. Central African Republic is not the right answer. South Africa, Central African Republic done. This is, should be, shit, a random guess, which is probably wrong. Uganda. Okay, shit. Djibouti. Oh, Shit, why does Djibouti have this thing protruding outside? Yo, let's go. I'll keep going. So there is no other country outside of Djibouti. Here it is just port. It is sea. Yeah, cool. Next, capital of Ethiopia. Wait, can you guess the cap? Yes. The capital of Ethiopia was Addis Ababa. Or maybe that was Argentina. Argentina is Buenos Aires. And this is Addis Ababa. Cool. Okay. Where is Addis Ababa? I don't No idea. Okay. Cool. Nice guesswork. Ethiopia's this flag. Cool. And in general, because it follows its own calendar. Okay. With dash months, Ethiopia celebrates New Year's several years behind the Georgian calendar, which means it must have more years, more months than the Georgian calendar because it is behind. So 13, 14, let's say 13. Shit, 13 is an odd number. History. In 1896 victory in which Ethiopian forces defeated an invading Italian army, becoming a symbol of African resistance to colonialism, is the Battle of Shade. Yes, that is right. Ethiopia was never conquered, never colonized. Is recognized as one of the few African nations never formally colonized by European powers. That is crazy. What was the battle in 1896 called? No idea. Adwa, if that is the pronunciation. Image landmark. Which of this is in Ethiopia? Is this? Shit. Because the other things seem like Christian. Can you guess what the landmark in Ethiopia is called? Not Niagara Falls, of course. Lake Karun. National emblem, the circle with yellow spikes, blue, yellow. Yes, star. Language is no idea. Kyrgyz is not a language. Hungarian, nope. Okay, shit. Okay, Oromo, and this, no idea. Okay, GDP, 1.4, decent. What is the estimate population of Ethiopia? 100 million. What is the currency used in Ethiopia? Bear, dirham, dalasi, bear. And yes, Addis Ababa has 6 million out of 111 million. And all of the rest is random. Okay. And which country has larger surface area? I would say Somali. Shit, Ethiopia has a larger surface area. My bad. Okay, shit. And that would be it for today. Hello, your voice is kind of low. I have to put on headphones. Shit. Hello. Yes, my voice is actually low, but the stream is like at the end. So Geoton. Okay, now my voice must be okay. Hello. Yes, it should be okay now. And yep, for today that would be it. And thank you for being here. Bye.